Welcome to Politics Done Right on KPFT. I am your host, Egberto Williams. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Give me a call at 713-526-5738. That is 713-526-KPFT. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Williams. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Williams, your host. Thank you so kindly for being here with us. Shannon, how are you doing today? I see you all gazing off. I'm going to shock her by saying, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
We're hanging in there, Shannon. We're hanging in there.
Yep, less than a week left before the election.
Man.
It's coming to the final stretch.
It's at the final stretch. And you know what? I like the way, I'm tired of the way how the media is playing it up like, oh my God, it's a horse race. It's a close election now. We need to be scared, be very, very scared, be very,
well,
very
I'm happy
scared.
It's almost over. It feels like it's been forever.
You see the t-shirt that I'm wearing?
I do.
Vote, people. That's the t-shirt that I'm wearing here, Facebook. You see what it says? Vote.
Check.
Vote. That's what we're talking about.
Ready, set, vote.
You know, I went to before I got here, I was at Starbucks sitting down doing some vlogging and so forth. And I saw these people in there and I walked over to everybody one at a time. Did you vote? Did you vote? Did you vote?
I'm sure they loved that.
Well, no, they didn't like that.
I'm sure they did.
But there were a few young ladies that actually loved it. They were like, thank you for asking. I am going to vote tomorrow. Then I said, don't forget, tomorrow is the last day for early voting here in Texas. I don't know. I think I think Sunday is the last day in North Carolina, and we have listeners from North Carolina as well. So, listen, folks, you have to go out there and vote and make a difference. But we're going to have a great show today. Aren't we going to have a great show today?
We certainly are.
You know, the title of the show today is kind of like sticking it to Hillary. But hey, let's wait till we get busy. Folks, today we're going to discuss the folly of sticking it to Hillary Clinton. Is that process tantamount to economic and healthcare suicide? Well, you know what? Of course it is. But it is important that we make the case to those who are blinded by, at times, justifiable disgust for the process. So, folks, hi, Rhonda Carrington on Facebook Live. Folks, remember, while we're here on Facebook Live as well as on air as well as on these different feeds, you can always drop me a line anywhere and we're listening. But anyhow, folks, also do remember that this is a call-in show. The telephone number is 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. I have another announcement as well. On Tuesday, November 8th, we are having the election special. So don't forget about that. Starting at 7 p.m., we'll have the I think that one is national, right? Is that?
Yeah, it's from Democracy Now! Is putting it on, and so it'll be from 7 to midnight.
It's the election special, but before that, KPFT as well will have its coverage, and we'll be right here with the coverage for you. You'll hear from yours truly, along with others as well. So don't forget, we are, as Rhonda says, we are on the final stretch. Now that let me wake up my computer here because I just lost my my access to my blog. But anyhow, folks, do remember, before I get to the program, I want to remind all of our listeners that KPFT is a bastion of intelligent voices and programs. As a political activist myself, my favorites are The Monitor with
Mark Babawi
on
Mondays at 7 p.m.
And we have Think Wing Radio with
Mike Honig
at
9 p.m. on Mondays.
And we have Partisan Gridlock with
Jeff Berg on Fridays at 3 p.m.
And we have Open Journal with
Marlo Blue, Hetty Van Bogle, and and Dwayne Bradley every weekday at 8 a.m.
And we have, of course, Jazz Latino Afro-Cuban Latin Jazz at its best, hosted by
Juan Flores
on
Mondays at 10 p.m.
Absolutely so, folks. And there's another show, the Minstrel Show, that I need to advertise as well, but I don't have all the information here, and he was supposed to email it to me and didn't, so I'll have that ready the next time. But anyhow, folks, check out all our full schedule at kpft.org, where you can find the programming from music to politics to medicine to the eclectic. KPFT is listener-supported public community radio station, so please remember that if you like what you hear, just come on here and check us out at kpft.org. kpft.org is a listener-supported voice. We want to hear your voice. We want to hear your thoughts. So let's talk. I will also be watching Politics Done Right, the hashtag, as well as telling you guys to post at Twitter, Egberto Willies. My Twitter is Egberto Willies. But folks, do you know what time it is?
It's time for the weekly blog post.
Okay, folks, I named the blog post "Sticking It to Hillary is like burning down your neighborhood." Again, I repeat, sticking it to Hillary is like burning down your neighborhood. Do you believe that, or do you believe that not? I think you better start believing that. And I know this may take some of my good friends, including those on Facebook and other places on air and on my blog, by surprise, because I know some people want to penalize folks for, I don't necessarily know what, but I want you to listen to this, and I want you to keenly take it under advisement, if you will. And it goes as follows. Last week I wrote about engaging people, mostly millennials, about the need for them to vote and to do so wisely and not emotionally in a piece that I wrote titled "How to Encourage Idealists and Others to Vote for Hillary Clinton." It was an exchange with a reluctant voter. Choosing who to vote for was easy for me. This is what I said. Choosing how to vote was easy for me. I have reached a stage in my life where I really mean what I say completely. It is not about personality, etc. My vote is a mechanical and mathematical calculation normalized for the best attainable policy outcome. No more, no less. Politicians are not the ones I look up to. Not Hillary, not Obama, not Kennedy, none. When they do good things, I commend them. When they hurt the populace, I raise hell. The American people, those deserving of praise based on deeds, are my heroes. The American people, everyday folks, those folks that are working in the food banks, those folks that are trying to make life better for most, those people that are really doing things, those are my heroes. It's not the people with big names. It's the people that are just working the community. When they do good things, I commend them. When they hurt the populace, I raise hell. The American people, those deserving of praise based on deeds, are my heroes. Those picking Hillary Clinton based on policies, we are able, if we stick together, to extract was an easy choice. I did not vote against Donald Trump. I voted for Hillary Clinton. Now, our work begins. My first choice in 2008 was Hillary Clinton. To be clear, as a black man, I wanted to see then Senator Obama win, just to break down yet another barrier that showed definitively that the presidency was open to all Americans. Actually, all Americans. That's what we all wanted to see. The reason I stuck with Hillary Clinton then was that I liked her. She was qualified. She spoke my values, and I believed she could win. Obama won Iowa, a white majority state. While pleasantly shocked, I stuck with the candidate. I thought she had the best chance of winning the general election. After Bill Clinton made some dismissive remarks with racial connotations about Obama's win in South Carolina and watching white voters' reaction to Obama, my mathematical formulation changed. I mechanically switched to then Senator Obama. I liked both candidates. I worked hard for the Obama campaign believing that we could drive this one home. In my conservative town, I saw Republicans holding house parties. Republican parents were telling me that their kids turned them on to Obama. Obama had big rallies at campuses throughout Texas, and they worked. These people were supporting President Obama with a passion. They were in love. They also understood the historical nature of the Obama presidency, and these kind people wanted to be a part of that history. That enthusiasm worried me. Neither Obama nor anyone else could live up to the expectations of many of his supporters. We paid the price for this directly in 2010 and 2014. In effect, many fell in love with the candidate and not the candidate affecting policy. As well, many fell out of love with the candidate when the president felt the gravitational pull of the presidency and had to act on it. But he always maintained his charisma. Hillary Clinton is paying the price in many ways for the president's successful campaigns. First, she does not have his charisma nor magnetic personality that unfortunately many base decisions on at times. Democrats and progressives fell in love with Obama, expecting him to do all that they thought he would do, and are subliminally holding Hillary Clinton accountable for Democrats not being liberal enough. Many judge her flaws using different metrics than they use for all other males in this cycle, let alone all males. Many discount Clinton's early and continual work where she fought for civil rights, child care, and health care. Many allow others to create an unbalanced facade of who she is, a self-serving politician like all politicians who also want to do good, but who has already done a whole lot of good. So folks, we must not fall in love with candidates. We must vote for the candidate we believe can best effect policies that support the poor and the middle class. That requires compromising. No vote is a wasted vote. As Americans, we all have the right to vote as we choose. A vote, however, can be wrong. A vote can be emotional. The problem is that your vote is permanent and its effect is long-lasting. A coal miner voting for Trump because he says he will bring back coal jobs is a factually wrong vote. A vote for Trump or a third-party candidate who, because one wants to stick it to Hillary, that is the caricature of Hillary many have gullibly accepted, is the wrong vote, because in the process, one undermines their own economic health and personal security. And I know some folks will dispute that, but I want that on the record. Unless some unfathomable event occurs, Hillary Clinton will be the next and first female president of the United States. But not too fast. Isn't the fact that Donald Trump defeated 16 more qualified candidates, well, maybe sans Ben Carson, that is, to become the nominee an unfathomable event? Of course it is. Of course it is. When the election is over, irrespective of who wins, Hillary Clinton will be living the comfortable life of a multimillionaire with international stature. Donald Trump will be living a comfortable life as a millionaire, an abusive and conniving charlatan. Gary Johnson will continue being an internationally clueless millionaire with a hidden Ayn Randian motif. And Jill Stein will continue being an economically and socially conscious millionaire who demands a purity she fails to live up to in her own investments. So, something to remember. Voting for Trump is tantamount to following the Pied Piper to some hinterland. Making a statement by voting for a third party in the election is a valueless statement, as it has absolutely no upside for the poor or the middle class. It gives a warm feeling to the 2 millionaires running for the Green and Libertarians. But most importantly, sticking it to Hillary Clinton in the election is no different than burning down your neighborhood to protest the lack of support or service in your community. Folks, your vote matters. Your vote does matter. Your vote does matter. Folks, this is call-in show 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. Come on in, line 2.
This is Richard.
Hi, Richard. Talk to me.
Yeah, I could not agree with what you just said any more than I do. It's beyond what I do not understand how an American voter can hate anybody enough to vote for Donald Trump. But I think I understand why. And this is something I Googled. I was really kind of surprised because I thought it would be more like the college educated in all last presidential elections would have voted left. But I was wrong. They've always run pretty close to the same, except this year. And Hillary is ahead by 23% on college educated American voters. So that kind of tells me something. The educated, are going to be, well, it's a educated vote. It's a factual vote. It's based on facts that are inarguable. It's not about loving the candidate, like you said. It's about where the candidate stands on the issues compared to where the voter stands on that same issue. If he or she represents something that they agree with strongly and it's on most issues, who cares what their personality is all about?
Absolutely.
Who cares how they look, how pretty they are, how much money they have, or even how they got there? If they're going to represent you on most of the issues that you are passionate about and agree with, then they represent you. It's simple as that. But how do you somebody enough to vote for Donald Trump is a mystery to me.
Look, you're absolutely right, and those are some of the points that I like to talk about, and these are very important points. And why are they important? They are very important because, I don't know if the last part of my blog I said it's voting otherwise will make a lot of people feel warm and fuzzy. But I had a conversation on Facebook, and by the way, Donald Trump or the great Gary, I'm coming to you afterwards. But here's a deal. Here's a deal, Richard. I had a conversation with somebody on Facebook today, right? Who wants to blow up the system. They said they're voting for Trump because they just want to blow up the system. And I said, okay, fine. You want to blow up the system. I will be on your team because I agree that the system is corrupt. I agree that there are all these problems with this system. Now, let's say as a responsible host on a show here, I go out and I tell folks, let's blow up the system. Let's go vote for this person. As a responsible person, I have to answer the question, what do we do on November 9th? How am I going to make your life better on November 9th? What are the things that I am going to get done? What's the next step after we blow up the system? How are we going to keep your lights on? How are we going to make sure that your health care is provided? All these things that are, it may not be the way we want it right now. I agree with that. But what's the next step for these people? And the fact of the matter is because I don't have that answer, in as much as I know the system is corrupt, I cannot ask them to blow the system up without having an answer. When I say blow the system up, I mean, I better correct that statement. Mean aggressive with changing the way we operate.
Oh, I know what you meant. Yeah, but that's probably a good idea for some of these lame brains. They're going to try to catch phrases.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, I understand exactly what they're thinking, but all in all, it's kind of like what Bill Maher has always said. Mm-hmm. We're stupid. American voters are stupid.
Well, no. Hold on. Richard.
Short memories.
Richard, stop.
Did they not remember 2008 when we were at a depression, the worst economic disaster since the Great Depression in 1929?
Richard.
Short memories.
Richard, I don't like to call my fellow citizens stupid or foolish or whatever, because I'm going to tell you something. We all have the propensity to be misled. Okay, and that's the reality, especially when we have a large percent of our population in pain. Because, look, people like to say that the Trump followers, these are racist people and they are bad people. You know what? Some of that is true, but one of the things that I can't let stand is even racist folks have financial problems. Even racist folks have the same everyday problems that all of us have. Look, if you want to be racist, be my guest. Be racist. I don't have to hang around you. But both of us have the same kind of problems in this country, and that's the reason I always use the phrase, I want to unite. It's sort of a stereotypical phrase. I want to unite the Appalachia, the ghettos, and the barrios. And the reason I use that stereotypical phrase is I want all these folks who some of them are going to be racist, some of them are going to be sexist, some of them are going to be all these things. But there's one commonality we share, and that is that we share the commonality that there's a plutocracy that has their feet on our necks. Okay?
Yes.
And once I can get that into everybody's head, suddenly all those other issues fall away. Because folks realize that they're racist because they're scared. They're sexist because they're scared. There are all these isms because they're scared. Because inherently, those being racist, sexist, and all these other things, homophobic, those are stupid ideas.
Fears work.
Exactly.
Fear works. It's always worked. They've always tried to scare you.
Right.
You know, how do you think George Bush, who was responsible for 9/11, got actually reelected? Through fear.
Absolutely.
Fear, always going to keep us safe. Fear, it works.
Absolutely.
That's why they use it.
Thank you, my dear friend. Thank you, my dear friend. Look, I have to go now to a quick break, and you keep listening. You keep calling.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Egberto, and good afternoon. It is currently 84 degrees and mostly cloudy skies with humidity around 60%. It feels like 88 out there. 20% chance of isolated thunderstorms before 7 p.m. tonight and a low around 70 degrees. Partly cloudy early Friday with a 40% chance of showers and thunderstorms developing later in the day. High of 86. And let's take a brief look at our roadways. On the East Loop northbound at Market Street, there's an accident blocking the center lane to the exit ramp there. On the North Freeway inbound at Parker, a multiple vehicle accident involving a bus is affecting the left and two center lanes. That's backing up traffic to Greens. Accident cleared on the Gulf Freeway inbound at San Jacinto, but traffic remains backed up to Telephone. That's a look at your Houston area weather and traffic. I'm Shannon McCurchie, and you're listening to KPFT Houston 90.1 Politics Done Right with Egberto Willies.
Thank you very much, folks, for listening. Now, I want to address some information that I have here on Twitter. Jacob objected to somebody calling our population stupid, and I think I spoke up to that, Jacob. That is, I don't think our people or our neighbors or friends and all of these folks are stupid. I think they're misled. I think this, in a lot of times, not only are they misled, but in as much as they have the right to feel what they're feeling, their vote won't reflect what's best for them. And I think any objective person would agree with that. But anyhow, let's go to Gary, line number 3. And then after that, I'll be going to Danny and the other calls. So come on in, line number 3. Gary, how are you doing, my friend?
Hello, Egberto. I feel obligated to advise you that the signs indicate that the end of the world is here. Number 1, Donald Trump won the Republican primary.
Yes.
Number 2, David Duke, the Grand Wizard of the KKK, is running for senator.
Yes.
Number 3, Ted Cruz actually did get elected as a senator. Number 4, Bob Dylan won the Nobel Prize for Literature. And the proof of the pudding is the Chicago Cubs won the World Series. Now, God is telling us something here.
Gary, you made my day. What's up, buddy?
Man, have a good day.
You have a great one, my friend. Take care. That was a good one, Gary. All right, let's go to Danny on line number 1. How you doing, Danny, my friend?
Hey, how you doing?
Talk to me.
Long time no speak, Danny. I'm the Thought Wrestler. We had some conversations a while back.
I think I remember that tag. Talk to me, my friend.
Well, you know, I wanted to just give some credence to the idea that there are people, and specifically people in the inner cities and in the black community, who are avoiding the 2016 election for the sole purpose of acquiring more political capital moving forward.
Really?
You know, all of the demagoguery of Donald Trump, and I do believe 100% that his soft fascism would be horrible, but for someone living in the inner cities that's already facing those sort of living conditions and some of the stop and frisk tactics that we've seen, exactly how much worse would their life get under a Trump administration?
All right, I can tell you exactly how much worse it can get. First of all, I think it is important for most Americans who maybe live in lily white areas in this country or are not familiar with black folks in general to tell you that the vast majority, in as much as when you see a black conglomeration of folks in Philadelphia or New York or in certain parts of Houston or wherever in these major cities, unlike what Donald Trump believes, because again, he isn't a multicultural type guy, most black people don't live in dire straits. Most black people don't live on hard times. Most black people are not poor. I mean, the stereotype that Trump is talking to is really foreign to the vast majority of black people. As a black man myself, my only fear is one that you did mention, in fact, and that fear is anytime I get stopped by a cop, I know that the cop has a propensity to be more violent with me, so that I accept. But Trump can do nothing about that. Those are all local issues. So when you tell me, my dear friend, that somehow why not try Trump, let's say in the neighborhoods or wherever you're talking about? First of all, that would be a minority of the black population you're speaking about. Remember, when Trump talk about how bad things are for black folks, he's not talking for the majority of black folks. He's talking about poor black folks in inner city neighborhoods that are in dire straits. And that does not represent the majority of black people. That's the first thing that America needs to clear their heads up. And that is one of the things why those comments by Mr. Trump is offensive. So assuming you accept that tenet then, to believe that somehow by you don't have anything to lose, yes, I have a lot to lose, and the vast majority of black folks have a lot to lose, even if it were true from his heart that he was going out there to clean up the inner city. Because the truth of the matter is, that's not the real issue that affects black people in this country. The real issue in this country is you solve the systemic racist problem in this city that affects everybody else, and you solve the black problem. It has nothing to do with the conditions solely in the inner cities. Those are conditions that exist because of externalities that I'm talking about.
No, and I respect that. And I guess maybe the point I'm trying to make is that there is a small subset or a subsegment of people that I know specifically who have tried to engage the political process. They have conducted rallies. They have attended events. They've been part of their local governments. And for 4, 8, 10, 12 years, they've not seen anything change. I mean, the fact that Black Lives Matter and the rash of police shootings caught on video wasn't even a subject in the presidential debates. It was something that affected people negatively. So their thought, and they're not supporting Trump. They're just abdicating their support for a party that they feel is taking them for granted.
Okay, if I may respectfully answer that, my friend, I think it is not. By the way, I watched every single debate line for line. I blogged it. I got the transcripts. I read it because that's what I do. And the fact of the matter is, yes, it was addressed. And the great thing about how it was addressed is it wasn't addressing, the police shot this guy or whatever. The way Hillary Clinton addressed it specifically is through policy proposals that were recommended, some by the president and others. And that is what's important. It's easily to flash to just go ahead and say police shootings. You have to remember one thing, and I spoke to this with a couple of police officers that called into the show. Police officers are no different than America. Police officers are America. And what you are seeing is America with the power to kill. The average American doesn't have the legal power to kill. The police officer has the legal power to kill. And what needs to change is a change of how we address systemic racism. And anybody decides that we want to read, all we have on candidates is what they claim their policy is going to be. And when we look at different sites, when we look at what Hillary Clinton claims her policy is going to be, what Donald Trump claims his policy is going to be, which is pretty slim, that is all we have to go by. Now, after the election occurs, and this is what we have been poor at doing, my friend. All of us have been poor at doing this. Well, when I say all, I mean the masses. And that is hold people accountable. In other words, when we elect somebody, we don't say we got the candidate we want and sit back and watch them do nothing. And that included Obama as well. I tell you something. I am guilty when Obama just got elected to not put the pressure on his butt on certain issues, because as the first black president, we knew everybody was after his butt. So I think we were all guilty of that. I mean, both of us wrote numerous articles defending the attacks that he faced on his person, his family. Right. But we didn't bear critique to some of the decisions that were made that negatively affected us. Exactly. And what I'm saying now is, because we've already had this person in office, my friend, we won't. And now let's assume that we get Hillary as the next president, we won't make, as progressives who really want change, we won't make that mistake again. We'll talk about holding accountable. But for the people who says, well, let's go to Trump, there is too much of a backstep that would create. I can name policy after policy that would get effected under Ryan that makes that a bad proposition. In other words, we can name policies. In other words, Donald Trump doesn't have a lot upstairs, and his policies will be Paul Ryan's policies. And I can name item by item within Paul Ryan's policy that will materially affect you, will materially affect black folk, will affect the Appalachian folk, and all the folks without means. And that is what I'm talking about. That is what I'm trying to get at. And that's what I'm saying. I understand the people who want to blow the system up. I understand the people who the system have left behind. I understand all of that. I'm saying let's have a new normal. And that new normal is let's go ahead and when this election is over, hold them accountable. And it's going to take people like you and others to go out there and keep the pressure on. Okay?
Well, I'll tell you what. You have yourself a great rest of your show. And I haven't talked to you since the Democratic National Convention, but I was glad and honored to be able to be part of the team that supported you and wish you all the best, my friend.
And my brother, I appreciate your support and I appreciate everything that all of us, and notice I said all of us.
All of us,
us are doing out there, my brother. All right?
You take care, man.
Thank you, sir. Okay, let's go to, I think it's Jordan on line 4.
Howdy.
How you doing, Jordan?
Doing awesome, man. I just have a couple questions.
Yes, sir.
Kind of rhetorical.
Sure.
Could we agree that this election has easily been one of the most divisive in the past 40 years?
Absolutely. Yes, sir. I agree.
Namely, Hillary Clinton is going to be more of the same of what we currently have, status quo.
Mm-hmm.
She's definitely a globalist, without a doubt. I mean, you can just look at her contributors.
Mm-hmm.
George Soros, an enormous globalist, elitist. And then, on the other hand, we have a nationalist that is both crass, racist a little bit, same thing, very divisive. I myself, I'm not sure who I'm voting for at this point. I've been leaning towards Trump. Just because, I mean, we all know what's going on in Germany right now with the refugee situation. They've lost their national identity, essentially. And I'm sure you know that Texas is one of the leading acceptors of refugees, and we fought our state governments fought against that. But we have so many refugees here. Now, I'm not saying anything wrong about Muslims or Islam, but
you know what, sir? I agree.
Judging off of sheer facts and what we've seen occur in other countries. I'm
listening to you, and I don't detect that you are a bad person. I don't detect that you're a racist. I don't detect any of that. All I detect of you, and I'm being honest here, is somebody who has listened to all the pros and cons, and in my humble opinion, and I'll tell you respectfully, I just think you're wrong. And what I mean by that is the immigration problem is really a non-problem that's just made a problem during election seasons, because all the people that we're talking about right now, I mean, a lot of the supporters of let's say Donald Trump or others are the same people after the election is over will be making a whole lot of money when these refugees come in, because they're coming. We have to do our international responsibility to having created the mess over there in the Middle East. So when we sit back here and say we don't want those folks over here, we should have thought about that when we disrupted those parts of the world. So we have
and you're speaking of the proxy war occurring over in Syria right now.
And I'm talking about all of them, Republicans and Democrats alike. So what I'm saying, the reason I don't want a Trump is because I will take the globalist with her wings clipped than I take a madman who actually we just don't know how he would react on issues. I mean, I sometimes I even blog about, he's corrupt and all of that, and he's probably going to have a lot of legal problems. I believe all of that. But I think based on what everybody does from the politicians to guys like Trump, the plutocracy, what I call them, they all do the same thing. They're all bad. Okay? In other words, they're all corrupt. I agree with that.
Without a doubt.
Yes, but
Both
what
of them-
I
both
want
of them are.
exactly what I am going to do is first of all, one corrupt person is going to more than likely attempt to get rid of the Affordable Care Act. One corrupt person is going to attempt to privatize a whole lot of stuff. One corrupt person is going to be trying to use Ryan's policy. And I don't know what your social status is, your economic status is, but I care about it. And I care about the social and economic status of all the folks listening to me, whether they are Republicans, Democrats, or whatever they are. And
which is great because, just listening to you and the people that have called you, I haven't heard anything ad hominem. And what's been really unfortunate about this recent election is that it's created like this huge division between me and my friends. Like, I can't even have an opinion. You can't, without someone going, you're an idiot.
But here's the deal. I am not calling you an idiot. I am not calling you an idiot because your source of information, I told you I disagreed with you 100% on things on immigration. But here's the deal. I'm going to respect you because I am going to try my utter best to ask you to listen to what I'm saying and not take it at face value, but also go ahead and research. In fact, go to my blog, egbertowillies.com, egbertowillies.com.
I'll do it, most definitely.
And you can also drop me lines, find Politics Done Right on Facebook, and we'll talk. I don't have much time more to talk to you because I got to go to another call, but that is how we function here. My goal is not to call folks idiots. My goal is for us to educate each other. You have a great day, my friend.
Yeah, you too, sir.
All right, let's go to line number 2. Mike, let's come on in. Mike, talk to me.
Hey, Mike, how you doing? How you doing, Egberto?
All right, talk to me, my brother.
Well, talking about the fundamental question of racism and ethnic distrust and whatnot, we talk quite a bit about early childhood education. There are a lot of people who want to send their kids to home schools. There are a lot of kids who want to send their kids to very narrow parochial schools. And I think one of the best interventions against a visceral sense of racism or ethnic distaste is early association.
Right.
I think that early childhood education, if children gain nothing else from early childhood education, I think learning to be socialized with people who are different and not seeing them as other, just, different size, different color, different kind of hair, whatever. I think even if that's all you get from early childhood education, heavily integrated, that is the most useful thing that we would derive from it.
Mike, you are so right. And in fact, you're getting a whole lot of thumbs up here on Facebook Live. You are absolutely and so right about that, sir. Anything else you want to add, my friend?
Then I guess we're done here.
All right, Mike. But look here, I want everybody to listen to what Mike just said. All of you that have young kids right now, I don't care where you are, how uncomfortable you are with other people, you educate your kids right, and we'll have a better world tomorrow. Thank you very much, Mike.
Good to talk to you, Mike Honig.
Yes, thank you.
Good to have you.
Yeah, take care.
Thank you, my brother.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.
All right, let's go to James, line number 1.
Hello.
How you doing, James?
Well, I'd be doing better, except it's somebody that went to a lot of trouble to vote for the president. What a disappointment. On so many levels. Whether it's like there isn't a monopoly that won't be approved, whether it's Budweiser, Miller, AT&T, they all. And don't get me wrong, rapprochement with Cuba and Iran, I believe in that heavily. But, for instance, healthcare, 1.5 million doctors in 2013 lost their licenses.
We'll break after him.
And what really bothers me, and now it's like the president is fighting to get Trump elected because I have arthritis. I got cut off from my pain medication recently, but that's okay.
Look, can I don't know if I understood what you're saying. You're saying you're likely to support, you're disappointed in President Obama, and I think if I understand you right, you're going to support Donald Trump because not only because, but one of the things that you're saying is that you've lost your the support for your pain medication with your insurance plan. Is that correct?
Yeah, I don't mind losing my pain medication.
No, but you should mind. You should
Some
mind.
other patient can fill my slot. That's fine. There's only 6,000 doctors that can provide this.
Okay.
There used to be 1.5 million.
I got you, bro. Let me ask you another question, sir, because we're going to be slow on time here, but I need to talk to you because what you're saying is important, because I think...
Well, you bet it's important.
Yes. I tell you what, let me put you on hold. Let me get, Shannon has to do some news here, and then I'll come right back to you because I want to talk to you. And all the folks on hold, I'm coming to you.
Thank you, Egberto, and good afternoon once again. It is currently 82 degrees and mostly cloudy skies with humidity around 60%. It feels like 84 out there. 20% chance of isolated thunderstorms before 7 p.m. this evening, and considerably cloudy skies tonight with a low around 70 degrees. Partly cloudy skies Friday morning will give way to a 40% chance of occasional showers in the afternoon, high of 86. And let's take a brief look at our roadways. On the North Freeway inbound at Parker, a multiple vehicle accident involving a bus is still affecting the left and 2 center lanes. Traffic is backed up to Greens. And on the Grand Parkway northbound, that's westward, after Cypress Rose Hill, an accident is blocking the right lane and shoulder. Traffic is backed up to Telge. Accident cleared on the East Loop northbound at Market Street, but traffic is backed up to Highway 225, and you're tapping on the brakes in a few areas around town, including on the Southwest Freeway in both directions from Chimney Rock to I-45. And on the West Loop northbound from Evergreen to Irvington on the North Loop, you are tapping on those brakes. That's a look at your Houston area weather and traffic. I'm Shannon McCurchie, and you are listening to KPFT Houston 90.1 Politics Done Right with Egberto Willies.
Okay, let's go back to that call again. Same call? Okay, is this James? I was with you before, right, James?
Right, on healthcare and the president.
I want to talk to you first. I heard enough from what you had to say to be able to understand where you're coming from. I really have, and it's something that is it's a common thread. And here's what I want to tell you. I got to get to some other calls, but I need to tell you this to so that folks don't make mistakes based on what you're saying, which is what you hear. You're here in Texas, is that correct?
Right.
Okay. What we did in Texas is we have a Republican legislature that was offered the Medicaid expansion to Obamacare, the Medicaid expansion to the Affordable Care Act, which would have provided health care to more than 1 million more Texans, which would come under, based on what you've said so far, your medical coverage for your drugs, et cetera, et cetera. Because we chose an ideological government in this state, we decided to not give our citizens the health care that they would have gotten from the federal government for free. We chose that at the state level not to accept that. So if you want somebody to blame for that, we have to blame the current government in our state. Now, based on what you're saying, your propensity now to vote for the same people who are the ones who are causing your pain is what I speak about all the time when I say we have continuously voted against our own interests. Something that we have to learn to stop by not accepting the narrative that these people, meaning in the case of our state, that Republicans have been promoting. They have been promoting policies that materially hurt us. I have shown in several of the blogs that I've written that we have actually caused the deaths of over 2,000 Texans because of our refusal to accept the Medicaid expansion to Obamacare, which would have costed the state nothing for the first 3 years and 10% thereafter. So I got to let you go now, James, but I had to get that in based on the pains that you're having. Okay, my friend?
Okay, but it's totally bipartisan. Please understand that.
I understand what you're saying, sir. I got to go to the other call, but please remember what I just stated in the prose I just gave. That is a statement of fact. That is a statement of fact. So thank you very much, my friend. Bye-bye. All right, let's go to line number 3. Ali, come on in, Ali. How are you doing?
Excellent, man. I am so glad that you took the time to explain that, because we do allow people to hurt us with the vote.
Absolutely.
And those people are in the state house, I'm saying.
Right.
And we think they got our best interests in heart, so it's quick
right
to blame someone. Obama is the one. He looked different. Obama. And he's the one that tried to get me medication so my knees wouldn't be hurt.
Exactly.
And then the current Republican administration in Texas, he don't care if my knees hurt, but I'm going to vote for him again.
Right.
So now in closing, I know we don't have much time.
Right.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ali. I'm sorry.
Yeah, just want to say one thing, man. There is no such, and you correct me if I'm wrong, there is no such a thing as being a little bit racist. You cannot be a little bit racist. I cannot be a little bit oppressive to women. I'll say I don't beat my wife. I just beat her a little bit. That makes no sense.
I hear where you're coming from. I don't want to be that exact, and I know exactly what you mean. And let me tell you,
I understand.
What I'm saying is, you're right. You know, you're either racist or you're not. You're either a sexist or you're not. So what I can tell you, under those terms, there are times I could have called myself any one of those. I could have called myself a racist. I could have called myself a sexist. I could have called myself any one of those things, because at some point in my life, I had looked at somebody who looked differently than I did and made a judgment. And that was, under your parlance, that was, in my parlance, it's like, it's something that I had to learn not to be. And now I'm not, but I'm saying, in the past, I could have called myself a homophobe, a racist, and all these other things. So that's the reason I try not to judge too hard. And that's the reason why I have friends that are bona fide racists, and they know it, and we talk about it. And what I do is I try to have the conversation, because that is how we change and that is how we learn. We are conditioned by our past. We're conditioned by our environment. So I try to be more placating. But I hear you, my brother.
Yeah, I just want to after you said all of that, you still can't be a little bit racist.
Okay, Ali.
Yeah, I'm a little bit asleep. I ain't really asleep. I'm just a little bit asleep.
All right, my friend.
Yeah, I'll keep up the good work.
You have a great day, my friend. All right, let's go to Mike, numero 5. Come on in, Mike. How you doing, my friend?
Hey, man. How you doing?
Talk to me, my brother.
Well, I was the one that called the other day when you was doing Jeff's show and said that people are crazy if you think Trump wants into that office, because he doesn't want to live there. He doesn't want to be tied down with that stuff. But the thing is what everybody needs to do, and I'm putting this out to everybody on both sides. Mm-hmm. Less than 1/3 of America identifies as Republican, and barely 1/3 of Americans identifies as Democrat. More than 1/3 of Americans identify themselves as independent.
Right.
Because most of America is fiscally conservative and socially progressive.
Right.
And so what everybody needs to think about is, no matter how much you love Hillary or whatever, she's going to be getting the election on Tuesday, but no matter how much you care for her or how much you're against her or whatever, the thing you got to realize is 4 years of Hillary is going to leave this country so much more divided than it is right now that it's going to be imperative that we elect somebody else in 4 more years.
Well, let me tell you something.
Wait a minute. Let me get to my point.
Sure.
My point is as soon as you walk out of that booth on Tuesday, you need to start. Putting together a coalition of your friends, your neighbors, your family, and whoever, of anybody that you know that is of sound mind and sensible instincts, and start pushing for that third center of the road party, because that's what we need to take the election 4 years from now. Is a party that takes a little bit from the right, a little bit from the left, and a whole lot from the middle, and make the coalition that everybody can get behind. Our biggest problem is we don't have a serious war going on right now, so it's not bringing us together. It took the Civil War divided us so badly that we had nothing but corrupt and bigoted politics for 40-odd years afterwards. It took World War I to bring us together as a country. But the problem was we left too many corrupt people in office, and we didn't have the tools that we have now, the technology and everything, to keep them in check.
I got you, Mike. I got 2 more calls I got to take, but
we got very prosperous in the 20s, and then it brought on the Depression.
Yes.
But it took another major war to bring us back together.
Mike?
And that's what we don't want, another war to bring us together. What we need is a new political party to bring us together.
Mike, let me tell you something. You're not going to get an argument from me because what you said was cogent, what you said was sensible.
I'm not arguing with you. I'm trying to send this out to everybody who's listening.
Excellent. Well, I tell you what, good points and point well taken, all right?
Thank you.
You
Talk
have a
to you
wonderful
next
day.
week, man.
Thank you, my brother. You have a good one now.
You too.
All right, let's go to Johnny, numero 4. Come on in, my dear brother. Johnny, come on in.
Hey, I want to address the caller from at the bottom of the hour. The people who are Trump supporters or Trump voters who call into KPFT looking for some kind of validation, and then they express this idea that they're being made to feel stupid by their friends. I'll have a suggestion for them. If the best counter to that is when they're at home alone and they've got peace and quiet and some time to spend hours on the computer, go visit 2 websites, Healthcare for All Texas or HCFAT.org,
yes.
and maybe even print up a few sheets from that website. Focus on healthcare. Then go visit the Libertarian website and see what they have to say on different issues and download on hard copy some of their stuff and compare the two, and then take that when they see their friends. They'll have a true discussion started because this is going around in circles and we're getting nowhere.
Johnny, you know something? I commend, I forgot his name, who called me that said he thought he was a Trump supporter. And the reason why is I think he did exactly what you just suggested in his way. I think that's what exactly he did, what you suggested. And that is, I mean, there are forces that make people believe Brother Trump is the person to support. And I've sat down and spoke to a lot of folks who can make a somewhat that sounds somewhat sensible if you don't know a whole lot of issues to make that comment. My goal is to tell them, feel comfortable to tell me this stuff. I want you comfortable in talking to me because then we can talk. And you know what? I'm going to tell you, this is not a pat on my back, but there's a whole lot of Trump voters that I've sitting down there in Starbucks that I have voting, that not I have voting, but that the policies now have them voting appropriately. They were, once they found somebody on the other side that they could respect and speak to, it left them open to making their minds up. So what you just said, and everybody who listened to what Johnny just said, Johnny just made some perfect sense. Always give your Trump readers and say, please don't talk to me. Just go ahead and read these guys. Anything else, Johnny?
Yeah, I would just say that's a big issue. It's economic. It hits people in the wallet. That's what people really care about.
Right, exactly.
So health care. When people talk to me about Obamacare, my neighbors, I'm surrounded by Republicans over here, trust me.
We all are.
And if anyone has a right to complain, it would be me. But I have to sit back and realize that it's the media that's doing this. It's not people alone.
Right.
You know, there's plenty of blames go around, and I'm almost tired of blaming individuals.
There you go.
I would just rather say to them, look, I says, you don't realize it right now, but you're a victim as much as I am.
Amen.
Just focus on one issue. Here's the website. Go there, read about it, and then bring it to me. We'll discuss it if you like. And to that individual who called you, I would repeat what I just said. Go to that website and then go visit the Libertarians because they're another flavor of Republicans, and then you'll have a basis of which to have decent conversations with people, and then no one will call you stupid anymore.
Thank you, Johnny. You're a good man. Thank you for giving the website as well. Give the website again real quickly.
HC, Healthcare for All Texas.org, HCFAT.org.
HCFAT.org. Thank you, my brother.
Excellent website, decent people. They really care about everybody, not just liberals.
Absolutely. Thank you, my brother. Have a good one.
Bye.
Take care now. All right, let's go to John, numero 2. Come on in, John. You're late.
Yeah, good afternoon, Egberto. First thing I want to talk about what the guy said. As far as, if you look at the 2012 exit polls nationally, Democrats were 32, Republicans, Democrats 38, Republicans 32, Independents 29. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, he said a lot of things that I don't agree with. I mean, that's one of them. I mean, there are more Democrats in presidential election years, and there's no doubt about that. And as far as being America being an economically conservative, that's just not the case. I mean, they wouldn't have voted in the last 2 elections to elect Obama if that was the case. And Hillary is also on the way to being elected, even though the polls have seriously tightened. And I don't think that this is getting enough play. How close the polls are, not only in the 6 toss-up states, but also in Clinton's firewall states.
Right.
So, I mean, things are really important. I voted on Monday. I encourage everybody to vote and go out there. And another thing about what the guy said, I have to disagree with you on when you were saying about how this is our fault. In Syria, that has nothing to do with us. I mean, Bashar al-Assad is a dictator. His father, Hafiz Assad, was a dictator. This has nothing to do with Americans.
John, I understand
right.
I understand all of that, and the reason I said America goes not over the last 10, 15 years. It's way longer than that. So I mean that's where I'm coming from. But I don't want to I don't want to change the discussion into international. So let's stick with the election, if you don't mind.
Okay. Well, yeah. Okay. So again, I just want to make sure that I mean, I understand that also that Republicans have come and made the race a little bit further in Trump's direction in Texas, but people should still vote
Absolutely.
down ballot and vote for Clinton, and let's face the facts. Gridlock is not near as bad as what would happen if Trump came in.
Absolutely.
And also, when you talk about Paul Ryan, Paul Ryan, Bannon wants Paul Ryan out.
Right.
And so they will do everything they can to put Trump's own lieutenants in the leadership. And I think very few people are talking about that.
Gotta go.
If he wins.
John, as usual, you always have great comments. Thank you very much for calling. Thank you very much for listening. I got to go because the show is coming to an end. Okay, my brother?
All right. Thank you.
You have a wonderful day. Now, folks, thank you very much for listening to the show today. I tell you what, before I close this show, I have a message I want to tell you all. Please, for the people who didn't get it earlier, I went into a Starbucks today. I was sitting down doing my work, and I watched a whole lot of young people in there doing their work. As I picked up all my stuff and decided that I needed to leave, I went to each one of them and I said, "Have you voted? Have you voted? Have you voted? Have you voted?" You know what Shannon said? What did you tell me when I told you that?
That they probably didn't like that very much.
Well, you know what? At the point here, I didn't really care, right? My goal was to do my civic duty and encourage my fellow citizen to vote. And the reason I'm telling you that story is to ask every single one of you guys who voted, who have yet to vote, to look at your neighbors, your brothers, your sisters, your families, and all these others, and tell them it is time to go out there and vote. It is time to go out there and vote. I voted, and I'm on the internet encouraging everybody out there to go vote. Voting in Texas ends tomorrow. I think tomorrow at 5 or tomorrow at 7. I don't quite know, but get out there. Vote today. You still have more time to vote today. You have a whole lot of time to vote tomorrow. And then if you somehow are unable to vote on these 2 days, you must vote on November 8th.
8th, yes.
I'm looking at
Sorry,
you.
we had to switch things around in here. Yes,
no problem.
8th.
But folks, thank you very much for listening to the show. My name is Egberto Willis, Politics Done Right. I see you next week. Adios.
Thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for listening to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willis. You can personally reach me by sending an email to egberto@politicsdoneright.com. Remember, Egberto is spelled E-G-B-E-R-T-O. Change starts with you. 90.1 KPFT gives you information not tainted by corporate interest. Please visit kpft.org and contribute. Let's ensure continued access to real information and news remain available to all. Again, thank you very much for listening to Politics Done Right.